Hello everyone and welcome to our 2026 planner collection video. Today I'm going to show you what planners made it into the 2026 lineup, what changes we made to the layouts, and what's going on behind the scenes. So let's dive in. In this year's lineup we have our pocket daily notebook, our weekly notebook, B6 yearly notebook, the A5 Slim Manager, the B5 Manager notebooks. These 4 planners are made of the 52 GSM Sansen Tomo River paper, and the B5 Manager is made of the 55 GSM Cosmo Air Light paper. We have our Pocket Daily. I will leave all dimensions and infos on each of the planners down below. Nothing changed with this layout. It's still the same as it used to be and as the previous editions. We have our nameplate page or opening page here on the thicker end paper. We start with a blank grid spread, and then we have our yearly overview. Then another blank dot grid spread, and then we have all the 6 months of this booklet in the front. So we have January, February, March, April, May, up until June. Another blank dot grid. And then we have our this month's overview. So this one you can use either for each month of the book, or you can use it for pre-planning for the next half of the year, because that is clearly not included in the half-year editions. And then we have our quarterly overviews. I know you love those. They're so good if you want to track maybe your weight, or if you want to track projects, or if you want to use it as a reading tracker or a release tracker of different things. So that's really handy to have. And then we have the monthly trackers. So as you can see, they're looking like this. And then we have the weekly overview. So it's again just small weekly boxes on top. And then we have this beautiful notes space down below. So you can either put the most important events or appointments on top, or you can also use this section as a meal planner and use this for the weekly shopping lists. And then we have each day gets its own page. So we have Monday, Tuesday, we have a timeline from 6 to 9, and then a little note space down below. So a really simple layout. And then after Sunday, you get 1 page for your weekly review. And then you have your next week. And that's how the planner is designed. And in the back, you have 102 dot grid notes pages, which are numbered. So you can easily put all your lists and collections and more notes in here. And then we have a little pocket, and you also get the ribbon bookmark. So black and sand. And we only have part 1 at the moment. Part 2 will release at a later date. And then let's show you the weekly. Let me grab the edition from last year so we can compare. So the dimensions are still the same. We just, cleaned or tidied the layout a little bit and made it more minimal and more. It's just a cleaner look. So we have the nameplate page here, and then that's where we made the first changes with this layout. We have the yearly layout, and in the previous years we had it just split up like this, and you got your little note section here. And for this year we just decided to split it into halves. So you have the first half on the left side and the second half of the year on the right side, and then you get your notes page here. So that's the first change we made. Then we have our yearly tracker. that hasn't changed. We also had the tracker in here, but what did change is how the pages or how the design is. So we didn't add the top line here. We just moved our signature double line down below, and it's just a more clean and open look. But other than that, it's just like, you know, the same. Then we have our vertical monthlies. And what did change here is that we made the top box a little smaller, because I recognize that most of you use the top part for tracking, like you write it here vertically, and that is like a lot of space to do that. So I just split it up a little bit to make it look a little cleaner and more cleaned up. And then you have this tiny section on the bottom, so you can put more notes or your tracking key down here, or if you track it for projects, you can put the projects here and the steps of the project, or you can use them as a reading tracker or whatnot. So there are so many ways how you can use a tracker. And then we have all of the months, and then that's the new addition to the weekly notebook. We didn't have it in the previous year's edition. I know that a lot of you love the quarterly overview, so we just added it to the weekly notebook. We have 3 months on the left, and then a big note space on the right. Quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3 and 4. And then we have the monthly. So that's the same here, just, you know, the cleaner look on top, but everything else is just the same. We had to make the changes to layout because for printing, we had to make the margins on the inside and the outside a little bigger. Barely noticeable, but every millimeter matters. So in order to make it bigger, but have the grid the same size as before, like the 4 millimeter, I didn't want to make it smaller. I had to, you know, we had to adjust the layout so it's just one grid row less than the years before. I don't know if it's the correct term how you say it, but that's just what comes into my mind right now, because you all know English is not my native language. So anyways, that's what changed. But overall, like, the boxes are still the same size. You have your notes pages and notes sections on the left side and on the bottom. And then we have all months in the front up until January. I think you get January, yes. We have January of 2027 in here as well. And then after that, we go into the weekly. So just in comparison to last year's version is that the print edition of the 2026 planner of the weekly is lighter than the previous edition. Just to keep that in mind, it is what it is. So I can change it for next year, but this year is just a little lighter. Nothing really has changed here. We have this little note section, we have our mini calendars, we have our weekly boxes here, our weekly to-do list section here. We have the timetable on top and the 4 boxes like the previous years, and also the note space on the bottom. The thing what changed is, again, how the layout, how the overall design of the layout looks, and we made the very left column bigger. So we had this like little tiny part here where you could put your times, but I noticed not everyone is using this part for, or this section as a timetable. So you can now put more like your keys or stickers for your trackings up here and have a little bit more space. So, but everything else is still the same. You get the same amount of rows down here. So that didn't change. And then we have just all the weeks in here. And in the back, we have our notes pages. And we have a few more notes pages in the back because we had to adjust to the amount of overall page count. So we have now 246 pages in here instead of 200. I think it was 238 the previous year. And because we added the quarterly pages, we had to up the page amount. So it's a total of 400 pages instead of 384, I guess. So it's 16 pages more in total. But I just wanted to let you know that, to take that into consideration, because I know you have your covers for your books, and I think this will fit nonetheless. So that's the weekly notebook. Then we have our B6 yearly notebook. That is still the same as the previous years. Nothing changed with the layout. We have like the nameplate page, we have our reference and index pages here up front. Every page is numbered, well, where the numbers fit, so, but it is numbered throughout the book. And then we have our 2026 yearly overview. And we have our yearly tracker, our half-year overviews, our quarterly overviews. That's still the same. And then we have our monthly, and also here nothing has changed. We have the monthly overview. We have a blank spread behind each month for your monthly lists or notes, or put another month in here. And then we have our weekly. So this is a really open book. So it's designed to have a week on one page. So you have your weekly boxes here for your most important things you want to note down, and then you have list section here. And then each week is followed by 7 blank pages, grid pages. There are no timelines, there are no dates, just because this is like a hybrid bullet journal where you have your calendars already, printed out, so you don't have to draw them yourself. But I wanted to keep this really open so you can do whatever you want with all these blank pages. The most I've seen is like the blank pages being used as dailies, but I've also seen people turning this into a 2-page week spread, and then use these as dailies and have a week and on 1 page. I've seen others like making it a horizontal week, putting in lines and boxes here, and putting just lists here. A lot of you are using these for journaling. So I just wanted to keep it as open and versatile as possible. That's why these pages are never dated and don't have timelines in here. So after each days of the week, you just have the following week and their blank pages and so forth up until the next month. This is February, blank spread behind that. Your weekly page, your 7 blank pages. And then your next week. Let me show you what we decided to make for this year. An additional weekly page spread for the B6. Yay! So I know a lot of you love the layout of the weekly, this layout here. And because I can't do every layout I have in my shop in all different sizes, because that's just not possible, unfortunately, I decided to try something else. So I came up with the single pages. So it's in the B6 size. And you can just tip it in here with like a washi tape, or if you just need the extra page, which is on the back, you can just glue it on the back page. Or you have your double weekly spread, and then you have 7 pages for your dailies. What I want to say is about the tip ends. It doesn't come with rounded corners because maybe, I don't know, maybe you want to use it like this and have 2 weeks in your planner. So I just wanted to keep it as simple and usable as possible. Maybe you have another B6 where you want to put it, and you know, so you would have to round the corners yourself. And another thing is, because this is the true B6 size, it's just like a little disclaimer. If you tip it in, let me show you. If you tip it in, it's going to be a little bigger or wider because it's the same width as the other pages. And I'm not really good in tipping it, but I used the a tape, and as you might see, it does stick out a little bit. So just keep in mind that if you use the tip ends, you might want to trim the sides a little, just so it fits better. And you obviously have to round the corners. So because this is our first tip end, this first run is, it's just like this. And you get, how many is it? You get 20 sheets per package, front and back printed. So yay, that's the new edition for our B6. Our most popular layouts combined together, which I really love. That is the B6 with the tip in. Oh, that's another B6. And then we have our managers. So our manager comes in the B5 size and really popular A5 slim size. Our manager has this opening page with your nameplate, and then we have the yearly overview on the left, and then you have a blank dot grid space on the right, so you can put down maybe important notes for the year, or you can put down holidays or whatnot. And then we have our yearly tracker. That's included in almost all of my books. I don't think it's in a pocket, is it? I don't know why I'm so out of breath. No, it is not. So we have our yearly tracker page, and then we have our quarterly pages. Now this is a little different than the other ones, as you might see. This is a really structured planner. It's designed for keeping track of your projects and making your project management easier and beautiful. Here, just 1 month flows into the another. There's no like division between the months, and we needed this space because we didn't want the boxes to be too small. And then you have your notes on the right side, and then you have all 4 quarters, and then a blank spread, and then the monthly. So nothing has changed in the monthly section or monthly layout. Oh, well, yeah, we did change something. So let me show, but it's just a really minor change. So we added the previous dates in the monthly section here. Here we did not. It was just a blank space. It's not a big deal, really. But what did change is we didn't divide the left side column of the monthly dashboard, because I thought maybe it's just like I wanted to give you more freedom to use it. These columns were really small. We had the monthly list and habit and tasks, and we just removed the line and labeled it this month's checklist, so you can use it more freely and more open. And then again, we added the previous dates into the week here for those of you who track by week and not by month. And that's it. So these are the only changes we made to the A5 Slim Manager. So again, you have your big monthly dashboard. You can keep track of a lot of things. We still have the progress column here. Personally, I didn't use that as a progress tracker, but I think for once I don't have it with me here, but I think I used it for like tracking my water intake, but I could also see it like as a meal tracker. Just ignore this part so it's not labeled. And yeah, so we have this big monthly dashboard, and then we have our weekly layout. And this weekly layout we have, it's like a combination between a horizontal and a vertical. And we have Monday to Friday, each gets a full column, and Saturday and Sunday just, it's a split weekend. And then we have a big section here for your notes and lists and categories and whatnot. So you can either use it as a running to-do list. You have 7 sections, so you can assign each box to a day of the week. You can put your categories or project numbers in here for the week. So there's a lot of things you can use it for, a lot of different ways how to use it. And then we have a timeline from 6 a.m. to 1 a.m. just because I like to start my days early, and sometimes I just work up until late at night, especially if I'm designing stuff. And another thing I noticed is that some people would like the hourly to be half hourlies, but it really is, because as you can see, each box is the same height as 2 of the lined spaces here. So you just have to measure by eye measurement and think a line in the middle, and you can like have your half hourly appointments or to-dos on the bottom of the box, and your hourly appointment on the top. So that's how my brain thinks when using these. So after each week we have a blank dot grid spread for more notes, and then we go into the next week. Until the next month. Then we have February, the tracker, and then the weeks. So that's how this one is set up. It's a really functional and clean and slim planner. It was important to me that it is slim, so that's why I didn't add that much notes pages. I think it has 28 notes pages in the back. Oh, it's getting really dark outside, but I do have the grid booklets in the A5 slim size, so you have additional notes pages in these, and you can use it in combination and put that in a beautiful cover. So that's the thought behind this. Yeah, that's our A5 slim. Again, we have a pocket, we have the bookmark, and it comes in black and in sand. And the last planner for this year, the 2026 lineup, is our B5 manager. This has become a really favorite size of mine. I don't know, I don't think I can ever go back, but I do love that size. And that's also the only planner with the 75 GSM Cosmo Air paper. Again, we have our opening pages, we have our yearly overview, we have our yearly tracker, we have our quarterly overviews. It's the same as in the A5 Slim. And then we have our monthly, so get a really big column here. I've got asked how to use the monthlies because the boxes are small in comparison to the big space on the left side of the planner, but it's just designated to keep your goals and your projects in one big overview. So this was inspired by the task manager I did for my printables. So you put your project here and your designated tasks or assigned tasks next to it. And I wanted to include that in the monthly overview because you have your times here where you can track your progress and your projects and your appointments and your deadlines. And then you have your tasks and the project listed here. But what you can of course also can do is you can assign each of these rows or boxes to the week they are next to. So you can put like a weekly to-do list. You can use it for your family members. So if you have like a really cluttered schedule, you can put it here, but you can put also your names of your family members here and put their schedule here. So it's like, you know, a little divided, but all in one place, all in one big picture. So that's why I chose to make this layout. I hope I just could like explain my thought behind this. And after that, we have our monthly tracker. And again, we didn't divide this part. It's just one big space here, which is labeled this month's checklist. Again, our tracking page, our scribble area on the top, and our progress tracking here. And that's how the weekly looks. So that's really the same as in the small one, just on a bigger scale. And we have the bookmark and the next month's tracker, and the weekly. And the only difference, or the big difference here, is because you have more space, because it's a bigger book, you don't have the blank spread behind each week as in the, you know, as in here. In the smaller version, you have a week and then you have a blank spread. That's not in the bigger version because, again, I wanted to keep it as light, as slim as possible. We also have like the dot grid booklet in the same paper with the 84 pages as companion for the manager. So that is that. And we have our bookmark. Did I say that? Did I tell you? We have a bookmark. And then we have a big pocket on the back. And that's it. Okay, so this is our 2026 lineup. It's sweet and, you know, collected. We have our bestsellers in the B6 and the weekly, and the pocket has become a bestseller as well. We have the new edition for our B6, and we have our managers. Now, our release date is this Friday, September 19th at 8 p.m. German time. And yeah, that's what we have for 2026.